watching Eclectic Arts.
So yes, we can do this. We cannot do this.
Well, I mean, you just put so much effort and care into what you do, and it really shows.
How did this get here?
I'm happy to be a part of the legacy you're building with Eclectic Arts.
Same.
I need to be outside. That's my office.
I know we're from Alabama, but we do read a couple books now and again. We've been known to read.
For your winner, and still the WBA, IBO, and the new WBO Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Kaylee K.O. McQuinnan Reis.
Double it.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. And a few quick housekeeping details. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell, that helps me out. And if you're over on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's where I started all of this virtual work. Just over 2 years ago with the wonderful band Alice. So I got to see in person this past Friday, which was amazing. So I will always maintain a presence on Twitch because, again, that's where everything started for me. And if you'd like to know what I have coming up for all of my live streams and also what I'm doing out in person, which is wonderful to be able to say, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. And speaking of what's coming up, this coming Monday, the 11th of July, I have two directors that are going to be coming on at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, and they directed a really wonderful short film in the Bentonville Film Festival, which actually just ended yesterday. And so I'll be posting more details about that. But again, that's going to be on Monday, the 11th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And I have quite a few other things that are going to be cropping up here in July. But again, if you follow me over there on Instagram, then you'll know exactly what's going on. My guest today first joined me in June of 2021 to discuss her film, Catch the Fair One, which is right here. You can get it on Blu-ray, and it's also available on all your favorite digital platforms. At the time, it was playing at the Tribeca Festival, where it won an award, I might add. She is a world champion boxer, actor, activist, and she just dropped some exciting news last week. Please welcome back to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Kaylee K.O. Reis.
Sure, hello. Thank you for that amazing intro, man. You like Mr. Movie Phone voice.
Thank you very much. Very well deserved. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming back again.
Absolutely. It was a really good chat the first time. So I love talking to you.
Awesome. So let's kind of dive right into it. Last week, you dropped some huge news that for people that aren't aware of it, what did you let people know about? What's coming up?
Well, I just landed the one of the leads on this HBO anthology series, True Detective, alongside of Jodie Foster for the season 4, and that is huge.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're kind of telling me pre-show that it still hasn't sunk in yet.
No, I mean, I'm still processing the fact that you just even held up a Blu-ray DVD with my face on it with a movie that I just, did, and yeah, it's so crazy. And even the fact that I can pick up my, Fire Stick remote and say, Catch the Fair One, it's right there. I'm still letting all that stuff sink in from last year. And then I get this big opportunity. So I've been kind of Jesus, take the wheel. He done took the wheel. She done took the wheel. I'm like, all right, I'm just along for the ride.
That's amazing. And yeah, I should add too that IFC Films is who picked this up and distributed it this year. So people that, again, if you want to buy I'm into physical things. I want to have something I can hang in my hand, put on my shelf, all that. Yeah, I can only imagine that, this has been a whole process for you in terms of Catch the Fair One, but also with True Detective. Maybe you can kind of catch us up with what you can divulge. Did you have to do some auditions? You have to do multiple things. How did this kind of process happen? And like, how far back did you start this?
So this is actually my third project after Catch the Fair One. So the Fair One being my pretty much debut into this whole film industry. And then I recently just wrapped up a small part in the new project Black Flies. It's based on a book starring Sean Penn and Ty Sheridan. So I just had a small part in that, and they started shooting between April and May, wrapped up in May. So I had a little bit of that, and then this True Detective came to me. So with the Black Flies movie, that kind of came to me in the same fashion. Hence the reason why I'm even saying anything about it, is because it kind of came to me. There was a few crew members that were on Catch that were working with John Stefan, the director of Black Flies, and they still hadn't seen the movie, so they were working on this project and said, "Hey, John, you want to come with me to see this movie?" Sure. And then he watched Catch the Fair One, and then he was like, "Who is that?" And some of the crew members kind of, did an introductory, and I pretty much got a part in it without really auditioning. It kind of came to me. We kind of, talked just like me and Joe did, and it worked. And I was like a month later on set and, meeting Sean Penn, working with Sean Penn, meeting Mike Tyson. I'm like, wait, what? Like, this is crazy. And that was a really, really a different part, but it was a great experience. It was right in New York, so it was local. And then kind of the same way that happened, this True Detective opportunity came to me, where I guess the writer director Issa Lopez, who is an amazing person, human being, and such a great mind. She has directed quite a few films in Mexico, one of being Tigers Are Not Afraid, and that is such a great movie. She saw me in Catch the Fair One, as her casting director did. She reached out, wanted to have a conversation. I did, of course, do my auditions, and here we are. That's really the brunt of it. I mean, I've been auditioning and working with my team and just really trying to hone in on those muscles, because again, I'm really new into this world. So just with my boxing, I've been doing the same thing, and I skipped the line a bit, I would say, on working, but this opportunity presented itself at a good time, and I'm gonna take the bull by the horns, just like I always do.
Yeah, and if I remember right, I think that's something we kind of talked about last year, where your mentality for boxing and everything you kind of do, how you approach life, really has been something that carries you through everything that you're doing, including with acting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny, excuse me, because I find so many parallels between my thought process and how things work in the entertainment film industry. And then with the boxing, again, it's an entertainment industry, but just my mindset, I really don't have to search too far for the focus and the kind of hyper focus that you have to immerse yourself into, because you can't do boxing, you can't play boxing, you can't half-ass it, and I don't want to. I don't know how anybody else works, but I don't want to do that with this. Anything I do it to the best of my ability, and want to also learn. And this is a huge, crazy learning experience, because of obviously I'll be learning on the job, and I'm with somebody as such a legend as Jodie Foster, that was doing movies and film before I was even thought of, and just to have great minds and such a huge platform as HBO with this anthology series that I'm actually a huge fan of, and to actually be getting a lead role in it is just, it happened for a reason. So I plan on making the best of it.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt that you're going to make the best of it, because again, that's how your mentality is, that when the opportunity is there, I just need the opportunity. As soon as I get it, then I'm going to go and just tear it up, basically. Yeah, and I was I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Last week, I got a chance to do a live stream with Derek Wynn, who was a producer on Catch.
Yeah, he hit me up today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was telling him about, like Kaylee's got such a presence, even through this computer device virtual thing, that you've got such a presence that and like, obviously it comes across on screen, it comes across in the ring. And I haven't had a chance to meet you in person yet, but I'm sure if that happens, it's probably even bigger when you're in a room with somebody like yourself. That is just, you just ooze this presence that is so, like, there's a magnetism to it, which is really, really credit to you. And I think how you go about your life, and also trying to be really a positive role model for so many people, that it comes out of you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I see you wearing the KO shirt, and I really appreciate that. And oddly enough, I was just in Seattle a few weekends ago. I got asked to speak at a graduation ceremony for the UNEA out there in Seattle. I hadn't been to Seattle previously, and I got the privilege to do a self-defense class for the little kids and the teens, and then be a keynote speaker at the graduation ceremony. So it was awesome. I absolutely love doing that stuff. So it's just funny that I was out there for the first time and you're speaking from there.
Yeah, because I remember you mentioned that to me offline, and I was like, you were here? And that's when I remember I saw something after the fact about, yeah, the self-defense part. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, no, it came out. That's kind of why I keep my Facebook up and running and kind of really attentive to my fan page, because I get a lot of opportunities for other Native communities that reach out to me via Facebook. There's still a lot of especially elders and kids that reach out to me. So I keep that active for that reason, because so many opportunities to go to different communities have popped up. So I'll be back though. I'll let you know.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And since we're kind of on that topic, and we'll kind of come back to the movies and everything else. And you have such a passion for, especially working for young children, teens, folks with an Indigenous background, but I would also say just kids in general. So when you're doing the self-defense course, is this something you've been doing regularly, something that kind of pops up when it pops up? And what are you teaching these young people?
So this was something really unique, because originally they just asked me to be a keynote speaker at the graduation ceremony, where there was mostly people going from, junior high school to high school or graduating high school. And there was also somebody from the first generation to graduate from college. So it was awesome to see the different steps. I've never done a quote unquote self-defense class, but it kind of just happens where I teach the young ones just basic little boxing stance, how to, push ups, sit ups, and kind of just show them how to throw 1-2 and just kind of builds confidence. But this was really unique because I had ages anywhere from 4 or 5 all the way through teenagers, and then their parents were there too. So I had to speak all at once. And I was just explaining this to my husband. I was like, it's really cool because it was challenging to make sure I keep everybody engaged, including the little ones. But I absolutely love kid energy, and just, that was the first time it was on purpose, like a self-defense. So I really just want to teach them confidence, really, and especially with the Indigenous community or just kids in general, but especially when we have areas or races of children that are targeted, i.e. Indigenous communities, to just feel confident enough and feel worth it enough that they're worth fighting for themselves, because there's a lot of that generational trauma, that generational genocide that just gets passed down, and it's kind of like that somber feeling that not all, but it's just kind of that unknown reason why, like almost like sorry for existing. So what I ended up telling them, and I don't ever write anything down, I kind of like to feel the energy and kind of be a conduit for like create a universe, whatever needs to be said here, allow me to say it. You know what I mean? So it was amazing because I told them a little bit about my story, told them where I came from, was asking them questions, and they were really engaged in it. And then at the very end, we did about 20 minutes where we did, calisthenics. I showed them how to hold their hands. And I told them, if you like your face, protect your body. Anybody gets inside your body, you really want to protect them. To kind of give them not just boxing, it's not fighting, but like you're worth fighting for. And then I sat them down at the end and kind of said, now, do you feel more comfortable that if anybody ever tries to take you or come into your personal space, you can protect yourself? And they all said, absolutely, yes. And I was like, I don't want you guys fighting at recess, but I want you guys to build your strength and have confidence enough that you can protect yourself and you're worth protecting and fighting for. So I always kind of stumble upon my theme, if you will, kind of through the experience and kind of reacting off of. And I always had this ultimate dream of having like what I call like a Fight for All Nations res tour, where I get to go to different reservations, communities, non-Indigenous communities, and kind of have this program where it's teaching self-love, self-worth, obviously boxing, health and fitness, nutrition, and kind of have that big umbrella where it could be like the KO program where we can just just empower our youth and our elders and our adults as well, because there were some adults there that came up to me after that also got something from what we did. And it's just amazing to see it unfold, not because of some curriculum I came up with, just because of the real life interaction I have with real people. So I would love to just keep doing that. It brings me so much joy to be able to hear their stories too, because it's really important for us to listen, especially with the missing and murdered Indigenous women, to sit down with different families, different survivor victims, I finally got a chance to meet Roxanne White, who is a survivor of so much. She's such a powerhouse of a woman, and she is kind of the face of MMIW movement in Seattle. And that side, she has a lot. She works with the family, so it was such a huge weekend full of so many, hopefully, future projects that I can kind of continue on doing.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing, and I love the fact that you're speaking to not only the young Indigenous folks, but also, like you said, the elders about you are worth fighting for, and that's something that's unique to that that demographic. And maybe some people watching this who don't understand that. It's like we can get into that whole thing. It kind of even goes back to Black Lives Matter and excuse my language, but the idiots that was saying all lives matter. It's like, you don't even understand what we're talking about here if you say that in response to that. Same thing with that Indigenous folks are worth fighting for themselves. It's like they've been, like you said, suppressed, oppressed, genocide. There's been things generationally for really centuries at this point that they've had to endure, and that's going to put them on a whole different track and a different mindset than every other population. And to break them out of that takes constant support, constant positivity, constant you are worth something, and constantly reminding them of that fact.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I struggled with, and I still do at times. It's even like with this whole True Detective thing. It's like, wow, am I really worth? No, I am good enough. You know what I mean? So it's something that's really good to have a support system, as you said, and just to be reminded of that. You don't have to be Indigenous to. You just be human. We're all humans.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I had the wonderful opportunity to see a band that put me on this whole virtual tour 2 years ago. You and I would not be talking right now if they had not done that. I don't think I would have been in this world because I'm not tech oriented. But the fact is that I found what I keep saying. I found my tribe of people that were so kindred spirits, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's something similar when people kind of forget, especially with elders too, that. Because I spent some time working as an advocate with families, and people forget that there's a lot of elders that get abused by their own children that are grown adults. I mean, that's why there's adult protective services. And a lot of people, what are you talking about? You mean child protective services, Mark? I said, no, there's both ends of the spectrum. And it's really disgusting. It's sad that it's even there, but it's a reality that it is there. And then again, if you take the Indigenous population, it goes to a whole other level. And it's just like every little piece of positivity that you can put that way, it needs to continually happen. So, kudos to you for everything that you've been doing over the years and continue to do. It's a part of who you are, and it's so important.
No, I appreciate that. Elders, they're the story keepers, the ceremony holders, and especially with survivors of residential schools. Like, that's such a tough topic to talk about. With elders who've been survivors and seen so much. And it's really important for this generation, for future generations, to hold space for that, because their stories, they were told they couldn't say, or they were so ashamed that things happened with that. We had our languages taken away, our hair, our ceremony. So for elders that are still here, and we have fortunate here, it's really important for them to know that we're holding space for you to tell your story now. It's okay. Nothing's going to happen. You're safe. So I think that's really important, because there's a lot of segues into a lot of addiction, a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of suicide, homelessness, and a lot of things that plague certain communities, especially the Indigenous community, where we're pretty much leading in a lot of those categories, and not saying all, but a lot of it has to do from that generational trauma. Especially something like being a survivor from sex trafficking, because there's missing and murdered Indigenous people, but there's missing and found as well, who need to go and heal. You know what I mean? So people like Roxanne White, who is a survivor, and just trying to support the families. Even the families, people forget that these victims have families that are trying to cope with this as well. So just having that space so they can hold of that space is really important, especially being a warrior. That I'm strong enough to do this. Like, I was strong enough to mentally, physically hold this space to tell our story with Catch the Fair One. That's evidently my role right now. So it's really important to hold that space just overall. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And I'll have to, if I remember what it was, I'll send it to you offline, but there's been a couple of documentaries about the residential schools that I reviewed this year for some of the film festivals, and talking to survivors of that experience, and just the level and layers of trauma that they went through is just, I mean, it's unimaginable to someone who didn't go through it like myself. And hearing it from several different people, and like you mentioned, the family effect of what happened to them, and then maybe 10 years later, how come grandma acts like this? Well, of what she went through and what she had to do to get out of it. And then it's like you said, everything was stripped away. I mean, everything, let alone all the other abuse issues that were going on, and just trying to basically kill a people. That's what it boils down to. And so those were fascinating. I'll have to try to send you those links so that you know what they are, because I can actually see you, whether it's documentary or something that's a narrative fictional piece, you, like, I don't know, for some reason it flashed in my head of you being this, let's say you're the lead character that is trying to empower young people, maybe something kind of a stand and deliver type of situation, or something like Lean on Me, or I just can kind of, maybe not to that Hollywood extent, but something a little bit more real, because it pours out of you. And like you mentioned, getting, Catch the Fair one, and then getting the other movie piece, and then with True Detective, it's kind of like it came to you because that's what you put out. So it just seems like it would make sense to put you in this other role where you're kind of doing what you naturally love and you're passionate about.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm just letting you know, and whoever watches this, manifestation is real. And exactly, you hit the nail on the head. You attracts like. And I never set out to get an award nomination or anything like that. It was like, all right, what do we really want to portray here? What do we want to do with this? And then that's just kind of like the icing. But the real reward for me with Catch was the fact that we didn't have to explain anything. You know what I mean? And everybody kind of got it. And the insight that we can sit there and have a conversation, tough conversations about it, but it's a door open to start having the conversations. Then when we were talking about the documentaries on residential school, one person came to mind. I don't know if you've seen this short, but with Joe Buffalo, he's a professional skateboarder now, and he has he's from Canada, if I'm not mistaken, and he has a foundation where he teaches young kids how to skate. And he's a residential school survivor. He's in his maybe early 40s now, but he has a hell of a story. It's pretty intense. The fact that he's a survivor and he's maybe 8-10 years older than me, it says that speaks volumes.
That's such a great point. And I'll have to look into that because I haven't seen that short. But I'm flashbacking to a conversation I had with a student many years ago when I was teaching, who had just watched Schindler's List, and he was very impacted by that film. So we had this discussion in class, I remember, and I remember telling him that the scary thing to me was that when you think of history or something like that, of what you watched in that film, you think, oh, that was like 200 years ago. I said, no, this was actually, you think about it, it was about 56 years ago when this happened. So, your grandparents lived through that time. So think about that. So that really just rocked his world. I was like, oh my God, I kind of felt bad a little bit that I told him that.
Hey, man, sometimes you need a little rattle of the cage,
Yeah, and I rattled his cage because, when I told him that, he just was like, oh my gosh. But it was good, though. It was so impactful to him to start changing the way he thought about things, that this is not so far removed. This is very recent. And like you just mentioned for yourself, someone who was, not that much older than you went through all of this ridiculous amount of trauma through a residential school. Goodness. And I'm kind of curious that since I mentioned to you pre-show that I had a chance to watch Catch the Fair one again, and we'll put here to keep plugging it, and then you can see your face on a Blu-ray. How do you feel about the movie itself? Not the whole experience and this whole ride, but how do you feel about the movie itself now that's been over a year, that it's been out and been seen over and over again?
I mean, I feel like we made a piece that's gonna hold. It's gonna hold its value no matter, 100 years from now when people are looking up the classic old movies, but it's gonna still feel like it's now, whenever whoever watches it. And I'm really proud of like I said, everything that we set out to do. And we wanted to tell a story, just to tell a story. And now so many people are watching it because maybe they know me from boxing and they want to watch it, but now they discover that all right, this is not her true story. It's not a true story, but it's based on facts. And then they kind of jump into a wormhole. And like I said previously, it's presenting people to have these tough conversations, whether they like the film for whatever, I don't know, they used a wrong lens in a scene and they want to complain about that or not. The themes of it are very clear and it's a huge conversation piece. And that's why we did what we did, especially with the ending. We want to leave people with like thoughts. Now think about it. You can judge it, you can love it, hate it, but you're gonna think about it. You know what I mean? And that's almost like almost like a conniving ex-girlfriend, like you're gonna think about me, but like you're gonna think about the movie, and I'm really proud of it. And I could take myself out of it saying that, that's me, and it's not as weird to see me on the screen. It's just how we went about it. It has that same impact no matter how many times you've seen it. You might pick up something a little different than you did the last time. And I love movies that you have to watch a few times to get. You know what I mean? Like you might have missed something, or you watched it because, okay, you know me now, then watch it again and now take it for what it is. And I believe that it's going to be a piece of art that stands still and delivers a message no matter who watches it or when they watch it.
That's great because that's how I feel about it. And you're so right. I love rich films that you have to have repeated viewings to them, because every time you watch, oh, there's something else I didn't miss, or some other kind of feeling you get from it. And even for myself watching this, as great as you were a year ago when I first saw it, when I watched it again, it was like, she is damn good in this film. And so I remember that, hearing your background and being newer to the industry, it's like, how is that possible? How is that possible that she's so good in this film? There's got to be other actors watching this going, damn, I've been doing this for 20 years and I can't pull that off that I'm seeing.
I've heard that so many. I think the biggest compliment I've gotten was, I didn't know if you were a really good actor that learned how to box really well. You're a really good boxer, learned how to act really well. I'm like, I like that. That's actually a really good compliment. And I learned things bass backwards, I always say, like, because Joe explained very early on that it's harder for actors to show, not say, than say a bunch of words. Like it's in your body language. And I'm so huge in watching people and just being so observant on things just naturally that I mean, I appreciate the compliment, and I think I'm proud of that being my first film. And then it kind of led me where I am today, right now. And I know there's a lot of people like, oh, well, it was too close to how she really is, but I'm not like that character. I'm very outspoken. I speak, but I think there's a part of that Kaylee character and Catch in all of us, kind of a thing. So it was almost like a part of me or a part of everybody that feels that vulnerability. But yeah, it's crazy because people swear to God, they're like, you're lying. You've acted before. I'm like, no, I swear I've never acted before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be watching this again, and it'll be like, that's going to be going through my head. Like, come on, she must have done something. She did something. I mean, last year I reviewed over 200 films, and then that gives you an idea of like how many performances I've seen. And for you to still stand like way up here above all of these, it's like, no, I mean, I'm so glad that you're going in this direction to explore acting and see where it's going to take you, because based on everything so far, it's going to take you far. And like you said, what you put out to the universe and the energy and the manifestation. I mean, holy crap! I mean, 10 years from now, you could have had this body of work that's just going to be freaking mind blowing.
Yeah, it's I'm excited about it, and it's helping me grow as a personally too. Like I said, when struggling with self-worth and thinking maybe I'm not good enough, but I think the universe is like rattling my cage and like, all right, do you understand? You're good enough. Like you can do this. So I'm like, okay, I think I get it.
And as you mentioned, for people that are joining us right now, that Kaylee mentioned that last week she dropped that huge news about being cast alongside Jodie Foster in True Detective season 4 for HBO. Do you have any kind of preliminary timeline on when you start working on it? How far down the road is this for you?
You know, these things in this industry, it's just like the boxing world. So I really don't know. I'm not exactly sure when we begin shooting. I kind of have an idea, but we really don't know. This is such a big production in such a remote location. Yeah, I'm gonna be in Iceland. So I know they're they're in pre-production now, but I don't know. But as soon as I knew that this was a go, in my head, I'm like, all right, I got to do like character building and stuff. And this is not anything that anybody told me. It's just what I am kind of teaching myself to do. Like I said, no one told me you have to do, but I personally, for my performance, just like I study, explosive performances as far as physically for my boxing to make me better. Now I'm like, okay, now I understand this is really what I'm getting into. So now I want to, really hone in on just focusing on even meeting this character. I haven't seen little glimpses of her and, reading stuff. And I'm like, all right, I can't wait to meet this character and really perform this for her. Cause it's not like I say meet it instead of create, because she's already there. I just got to meet her, you know what I mean? And then work with her and see what we can come up with and work this magic. So I don't know, but I know I'll probably be in Iceland for some time when I do go.
And that kind of brings up a question. I remember when we were first talking last year that you mentioned when you're shooting Catch that how cold it was. And so with you going to Iceland, are you looking forward to that aspect of it?
I'm like, well, I insert foot in mouth, because if I thought Buffalo was cold, I'm going to be freezing. The good thing is, though, my character's a detective, so I'm going to assume that there's, a lot more equipped attire for this profession that's going to keep me a little bit warmer than a swishy coat and some stupid hoodie. So I'm like, oh, man. But just like when I was shooting and just like when you're in stuff, it's not like we're going to be walking through it. We're going to be doing, my mind will be somewhere else. I'm looking forward to the beauty of the country and the beauty of this story unfolding. So, the elephant in the room, though, is going to be freezing. Yeah, it is. So, I'm just going to prepare for that. My husband keeps putting the AC on like really cold. Like, I'm just getting you ready for you when you go to Iceland. I'm like, ha, ha, ha. No, I was literally reading stuff about it like on the beach. And I'm like, when I'm there in Iceland, I'm gonna be like, man, I wish I was just on the beach reading about this, not doing this.
Yeah, and that actually, you mentioned a couple of times that when we last talked, you're in the process that your wedding was coming up. You were not actually married yet. So how's wedded life?
Wedded life is, it's like a 15-round heavyweight fight in 1982. I'm like, no, it's great, man. It's just a new chapter, it's a new challenge, and like I said, that he's my best friend. We're best friends, and we're just gonna work at it just like anything else. We're both stubborn as hell, so we're gonna make it work. He's very, very supportive, and we got married a week after my fight, which was crazy. And it's been lovely. It's been a learning process, and we're still best friends. We get closer and closer. We work through things, and it's not we don't have any surprises really, because we've known each other so long and we've been really close as best friends. So our foundation, which is awesome, is we've been really good friends for a long time. Like, I wish that on everybody. Like, if you can marry your best friend, as cliche as that sounds, like, you'll be able to work through anything.
Well, there's a great piece of advice for everybody. And like you mentioned, it's kind of like it wasn't something that some fly-by-night you just met and 6 months later you were married kind of a thing. It's like, no, we had a foundation that was already built and we just are building more on top of it now.
Yeah, creating an empire now too with boxing, and he's learning the entertainment business, which he's a manager of. He reads contracts all the time, so it's kind of a learning thing for him too in a different industry. But he's such a I just call him a shark, but not in a bad way. But he's so good at what he does for boxing that he's just learning, in the background, but supporting me. And the only thing he doesn't like is when I say my manager. He's like, no, just call him Philip. He's not your manager, because he's always been my manager. I'm like, I'm playing. Other than that, like, it's just a really good support system. And I'm glad I have such a good person that I can, because this is not easy. This is not like I'm going on vacation. This is going to take so much, way more than I can even imagine, mentally, physically. So I'm just really blessed to have a support system here to not have to worry about any kind of stupid, stressing me out kind of a thing.
Yeah, it allows you to focus on the matter at hand.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And so where are you with boxing? Is for someone like me who's new to this, into the world of boxing, is there something coming up, or you're like focused on all the acting and everything else that you're in your activism, or you're trying to do all of it at once? Where are we with that aspect?
So because, again, this is still new, I've always said that, we're going to kind of take it as it comes, and I'm going to balance the two until I want to retire from one. And we had, after my fight in November, we had a set an undisputed fight for possibly April, May. But unfortunately, right now I'm dealing with a whole plethora of health issues that kind of caught up to me in my last two fights. To give you the short version of it, I went through menopause when I was about 21, 22. Got diagnosed with premature ovarian failure, which basically means, I don't produce estrogen, went through menopause, and that was that. At such a young age as a woman to hear that and be told you can't have children, that took a toll on me for a little bit. I got okay with it after a few years, and I kind of went on with my life. And then about 10 years after that, my cycle started again, and doctors didn't know why. And it was kind of like a whole phenomena that they were trying to figure out. They checked all my levels, and they were like, well, you're just kind of like a unicorn, and this really doesn't normally happen, but okay. And I'm like, all right, and kind of went on my way about my life. And the last 2 years has been really catching up with me as far as having issues with my cycles. They're coming a lot more frequent. Things are going weird. And I started making weight for my fights at 140 way too easy, which I've only had 3 fights at 140 pounds. Previously, I used to fight at 160, 154, but my last 3 fights were at a way different weight class. So in my energy level while I was training all last year was just all over the place because I was having so much issues with my cycles. And those last 2 fights were extremely, extremely close. Hence the clip that you put up before this interview, where I heard a lot of boos back there because it was such a great and close fight. But I pulled it out. I had to dig to the depths of hell in another dimension to pull those last 2 rounds out because I was losing the fight, but I pulled it off. But I was about maybe 50, 60% in that fight. But I've been fighting for so long to get in these positions that I'm in now with fighting that I wasn't about to quit. I'm sure you can tell I'm not a quitter. I'd rather die before I stop. And I was literally ready to I guess this is it, God. I'm going to die in here. I'm not going to quit. And I remember sitting on that stool looking at the COD girl with the round 4 in her hand. And I'm like, I have so many more rounds to go and I have nothing left. And I had to really dig down. So after that fight, my husband was like, listen, you are not fighting again until we figure out what's going on with you. We have to get, what's going on. So since December up until currently right now, I've gone through all kind of procedures, had to see this doctor, that doctor, this doctor, and we're actually coming to some answers. It's just that it's not as simple as a broken bone. Like I have a broken foot, put in the cast, 6 to 8 weeks, you can start training again. It's, hormone levels. Now I have an issue with my thyroid. I have GI issues, and there's just so many things that one thing behind another. It's so detailed and so it's kind of complex issue that it's just affecting my all around health as far as I can't train the way I want to. Trust me, I want to fight now, but the fight's on hold and we're trying to figure out when the best time would be to fight because there's only X amount of time that you have to defend your titles. So we're trying to figure everything out now. If I was in the middle of training camp and I got this opportunity, there might have been some kind of discrepancy between the two, but I'm kind of still trying to figure out my health. So things happen how they need to happen, and this opportunity presented itself. But by no means am I saying I'm going to walk away from boxing right now, or because of this show opportunity, I have to take a hiatus. We're still trying to figure out my health. So I don't know when I'll be fighting next. And honestly, this is the first time I was able to really put my health first. Unfortunately, fights are on hold, but they're going to have to wait because boxing hasn't been that great to me either. I've been almost 14 years as a pro, and finally I'm in control of my career. So, things happen in boxing all the time. And the fights will happen when they are supposed to happen, when I'm 100%, because I don't want to show up to a fight with my opponent. She expects me to be 100. I expect me to be 100. The boxing fans do. And I don't want to do that to my poor husband in the corner ever again because he almost had 5 heart attacks. So I don't want to do that again.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, thank you for sharing that so that people understand that you're still 100% invested in both areas. It's just that you're trying to figure some things out on the boxing side with your health.
Yes.
And whenever that gets figured out and you figure out timelines and all that, then you'll put some energy toward that. And then in the meantime, you've got energy over here in this other new area. And then still trying to make everything go the way that you want it to go. And like you were talking about with the manifestation, who knows? There might be some sort of like third track that comes into your life that you're not even counting on that might present itself the way things are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always what for me sometimes when things just kind of show up that I didn't count on. I love that kind of thing. It's like, oh, I never even thought about that. I don't know, writing a book or something, or you want me to act in a movie? What? I don't have an acting background, but then.
Yeah, that's how catch that. I was like, okay, I mean, sure, why not? And then here we are. You know what I mean? I didn't expect that, or like say this is what's gonna happen in my life. A week prior, I think we talked about this last time, was like I was like, I want to get into acting, but I don't know. And if it's meant for me, it'll find me. A week later, Joseph hit me up. So manifestation is real. This is the moral of the story.
Well, to kind of close this up, you have such a great philosophical way about you, and that it's so true to who you are. People can detect bullshit, and you clearly are not a bullshitter at all. I mean, it would probably kill you to be a bullshitter. So you want to just say it as is, keep it 100. And so for people that are watching this, and I'm talking about in general, what kind of advice would you give somebody to perhaps if they're not on the track in life that they want to be on? How can they get themselves onto a better track, or perhaps a more positive track in life?
So I'm not like one for like positive thinking, motivation, because anybody can have motivation or get inspired by somebody. But the thing that you control is your drive. Like I can motivate you so much that you get driven to do something that you've been wanting to do. And you also have to have, what I found with, I listen to all kind of motivational speakers or read books about people, and your why you do something or why you want something to happen is pretty much your business. But how it's going to happen really ain't got nothing to do with you. I mean, you can have an expectation, which expectation gets us all in trouble, or you can have an idea of how you would like it to go. But the problem is with being so married to it, this is how I want it to happen, is that if something presents itself where it's not going to happen like that, it's like us as humans get like so distraught, and we just focus on what we wanted and how we want it to go, where sometimes it might be better for you to have to go this route even though you don't want to, but it still may get you to your goal just a different way. So I tell people, if there's something you want to do, don't matter what it is, just ask yourself why. Why do you want 100,000 followers on Instagram? Is it because you feel good about yourself? That is your prerogative. That is your private Idaho. I'm not judging, whatever. But really be real with yourself and ask yourself why. Why do I want to do this? Okay. And if it's because you want attention or you want to feel important, that's great for you. But you got to be honest with yourself. The conversations you have with yourself is probably the most important conversation. If I listen to the conversations people had about me or to me and tell me what I wasn't going to do or do, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I found my why on my journey with boxing. I didn't have, it was like, I want to box because it was an outlet for me. But as a young kid getting into boxing, I get to punch people in the face is awesome. I get to, get paid. But the beauty about journey is that it unfolds in front of you if you pay attention. Sometimes we get so honed in on that goal, we don't enjoy those little victories. You guys like celebrate your victories. The fact that you got up this morning a little bit earlier than you did yesterday. You might have not gotten up this time you wanted, but be nice to yourself. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of different stories. You can go back and look on people who have no limbs but achieve the impossible. The only limit you have is yourself. Don't set a ceiling to it. You can set goals and get to those goals, but I see rich people who are miserable. They have what we think is the answer to everything, which is money, but they're poor in the actual things that matter, like a support system, loving friends, having time, making, memories. And being wealthy is not necessarily be financially wealthy either. When you find your why you want to do things, a lot of times things will start just unfolding for you. Once I found a reason outside myself to even fight, things just kind of came to me, not like this opportunity, but just answers to what I'm supposed to be doing in life. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was going to be a motivational speaker or an activist. I even feel funny saying that, but evidently when I'm doing what I love inspires people. When people, like you said, especially kids, are good bullshit detectors. Like they'll tell you straight, they don't care. They don't care about your feelings. F your feelings. They'll tell you straight up. And I'm such a straightforward person. I love people. Like everybody on my team is like we're nice assholes. Like, I need to know what's wrong. You know what I mean? And it's okay to fuck up. It's okay to fail. You have to fail in order to learn something, and you need failure. Like when people are building muscle, you need that failure. You need to do reps that you can't do anymore, because that requires growth. You're gonna get growth automatically. So I have a different perspective, and this might help people when I face something and a problem. It's like, of course, I see the problem. I might get pissed. I might get angry. But at the back of my mind, I'm trying to do my best to be like, all right, I know there's going to be a breakthrough or a lesson through this. What is going to happen? Like, it's almost an excitement and aggravation at first. But also, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is everything's temporary. Happiness is temporary. Sadness is temporary. Being aggravating is temporary. A lot of times people are aggravated about the guy that cut him off 3 days ago, and it was over. Like, to stop being aggravated, you know what I mean? Just every time that you start getting down on yourself, just really look inward too. You can do anything you set your mind to do. It might not happen the way you wanted it to or the way you thought, but trust and believe the universe and the creator is not going to give you anything that you can't handle. You might have to dig down a little deeper, but you're going to get through it, and you can achieve anything. If you want to be the Burger King manager of the best Burger King manager of all time, that might not be my dream, but it's your dream. And if you do what you love, people are going to recognize that.
Wise words. Thank you for sharing that. And I at some point there's I'll talk to you offline. There's somebody that I think you have such a synergy with, who has been doing great things with young people, especially in the people of color community. And he's got a whole set of things that he's wanted me to kind of look at and learn from and be a part of. And I'm like, when I'm hearing what you're saying, it so echoes what his, I don't want to call it program, but what he's doing is about. And I'm like, there's such a kindred spirit aspect to it, but I'll have to send you some links to what he's doing. And I need to actually talk to him again, because it's been a minute since I've talked with him. But
now you got a reason to talk to him. There you go.
There we go. But KO, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations again on landing this huge opportunity for yourself. And again, it's something that you put it out there, manifestation. And people, don't forget her merch. It's what I've had so many compliments about this shirt and the design of it, and that's why I wear it.
Thank you. That's crazy, because me and my husband came up with that one day. We needed to revamp my logo, and he has such a creative mind, so we put thought into it. But he helped me a lot with that, and that I really like that. And Fit Warrior, the gear that they make really good quality stuff. I absolutely love that shirt. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, again, I've got the white version and I've got this black version, and I don't know, maybe we'll get a third version. I don't know, or
I gotta put some colors out, man. Maybe I'll think of something. I'll think of something new.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on True Detective, and also on Catch the Fair One and everything that you got going on. I hope that you find the answers you're looking for with your health. So boxing can go the way that you want that to go. And anytime you want to reconnect, I don't give up.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love like I said, it's such a organic conversation with you. I love the questions you ask. So anytime, man. Anytime.
Awesome. Have a great night over there and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.